What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Daryl Dixon, Season 3, Episode 2, and I'm getting to actually do this on the appropriate time in which I wanted to because of all the AMC Plus nonsense that I had to go through, which I talked about in my recap for Episode 1, which was late, just a few days ago, and now I'm here with Daryl Dixon in an appropriate amount of time. I'm still blind. This show still doesn't have audio description, so this recap is going to be rough. I don't even think it's hard to find other people who are still recapping Walking Dead shows at this point for me to even have a point of. I just get kind of bored after a while. I'm like, I don't even. Um. So, so we're in Spain now because, why not? We're just hopping. Honestly, at this point, why do I even stay in Spain? They should just tour Italy, a tour of Europe. Let's get them pop over to Greece. Maybe they can go to the Vatican. What's the Vatican like in the zombie apocalypse? Just to fucking just move them around. Just who cares? Instead of crossing the Atlantic, maybe they'll just cross Europe the whole time and each sort of like ride with Norman Reedus, but it'll be like boat with a Daryl Dixon. Today we're at Monaco. Come on, Carol. Let's go see what's in Monaco. Um, so there's a community. They find this young couple, and they end up back at this community, which seems fine. They have some old ways of thinking. It sounded like somebody was being drawn and quartered, but I didn't hear that sound effect that you get in Braveheart when William Wallace is being drawn and quartered, and you get that sort of like the guts coming out thing where it's like, well, we quartered. Uh, so, but yeah, because it sounded like a wheel was being cranked, right? Like, so somebody was being stretched or something. And the guy was crying out in pain. Anyway, and Daryl sort of hints at, or Carol, was it Carol or Daryl? One of them hints at there being sort of like, well, some of the old ways aren't necessarily the best ways of doing things. So we get a little bit of an explanation of how this community, which is like thriving, how it came to thrive, and how there were other communities that were sort of warring with. There still is like another community that's out there that they trade with. Daryl loves their food. Big fan of the food. They're getting to eat. He found some beans at one point, jokes about the hot dogs. I think they're making some sausages or something like that. There are some pigs around, so at least you have an idea of what they might be making the sausages out of, and we're not turning into cannibalism, which is good. We have a new name. I didn't catch the Spanish name for it, but they over there, see, Daryl's used to calling them walkers because he knows he was in a show called The Walking Dead. So over here in Spain, they call them the Hollow Men, which is kind of cool. Also reminded me of the movie with Kevin Bacon, Hollow Man, but maybe I want to watch that. So that's fun. And yeah, they're like, because they have no heart, no soul. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick up on new characters without audio description. There were just a bunch of them. There's clearly like a leader of some kind. Uh, he has like a wife or a sidekick or something that I picked up on. Carol seems different this season, and I picked up on that like last episode. I picked up on this episode. I don't know what it is, but there's something about her that is like not very Carol. It's very like Melissa McBride, uh, just is on a different wavelength or something right now, and it's throwing me off. Like, she doesn't feel like Carol at all this season. She didn't feel like Carol in the first episode. She doesn't feel like Carol in the second episode. And I thought maybe it would change. I thought maybe there was like an optimism thing in England, but she still has this sort of like overly optimistic take to her when she's been through so much shit. And I've always loved the world weary Carol, where there's like we know how much shit she's been through. Like back on The Walking Dead, when she goes and lives in the house, she abandons Alexandra to go live in a cabin in the woods. It's not really in the woods, it's just sort of the house by herself. Um, and she's sort of like racking up all of the deaths that she's been responsible for. Um, I still really like. There was a moment where they're sort of enjoying like all of the Spanish like lifestyle and architecture, and I was like, man, it'd be really great if they could just get her to say, "Look at the flowers." Just throw that line in there. um, just for fans, just a little Easter egg for fans. Just, maybe they got some flowers going in Spain, and Carol's, she just nudges Daryl, gives him a little elbow. Daryl, look at the flowers. um, but yeah, there's something about her this season that doesn't feel like herself. She feels too weirdly like optimistic, too aloof. Something, I know she got injured in the last episode, but I don't know what it is. She feels very disconnected from her character that she's been playing for like 15 years now. So I don't know. Um, but and Daryl's, just like, man, this was the shit. I'm like, I don't know what's happening in this season of Daryl Dixon, but we're giving very different vibes. Um, I know Norman just recently did a panel where they talked about the end of The Walking Dead, and he's like, well, they're like, is this the last time we'll see Daryl Dixon? He's like, I don't know. I mean, it's not up to me. It's up to them, kind of hinting at, and I'm like, man, how much longer could this series go for? Like I don't even know. Daryl Dixon seems so aimless at times that they just seem like that they're having to come up with story and things for Daryl and Carol to do. Like, it doesn't feel like it's organic at all. Like, it doesn't feel like a plot. Like, okay, so Daryl ends up in France for whatever reason, which I still don't understand. Um, I still need more to the story of how he got there. I know we got some flashbacks, but it just feels really lazy. And then so he's wandering around France, and then Carol like found him and then flew on like a little twin jet plane over to Paris. And then in a giant country, in a huge country on another continent, found Daryl. She roamed America. Do you realize how hard this would be for anybody? Like, think about if you had to do this and you don't have the internet and you can't like put something up on social media and be like, have you seen this person? And you have to find this person, and then you have to find a plane, and then you have to fly over. And she did all of that. And you're telling me that this is like the natural progression of these characters? I don't buy it at all. But do I want to keep seeing Daryl and Carol? Yeah. But I also want to see them course correct in a direction that actually makes sense. Because obviously Daryl Dixon, it always felt like that they wanted to do something else, but then Melissa McBride initially backed out of the show. So they were like, well, fuck, I guess we'll do this other thing then. And so they did this thing without Carol. And then Carol was like, nah, I'll come back. And then so they had to like they spent an entire season undoing Daryl Dixon to do what? To move them to Spain? Like, this is so weird. I would think that you would have undone it so that you could move him back to America at least, or Canada. I don't get close. I don't know. I don't get this show anymore. I'm a big Walking Dead fan, and I'd watch anything. Like, they could spin off all of the characters into their own shows, and I would watch every single annoying side character. Be like, just any show. Pick one, and I'd watch a series based on that character. I started watching Fear the Walking Dead largely because of Morgan. You know, I started watching the show. I was like, oh, fuck, Morgan's on Fear the Walking Dead. Oh, well, I quit watching that show. Maybe I should start watching again because of Morgan. So, I don't know why we're in Spain, but I guess there's going to be a plot that's going to happen over here in Spain, and we're going to unfold it. And maybe next season they'll go to another country. I know they only have one season left, so they're gonna be in Spain for this one, and then season 4 they're gonna spend season 4 like undoing everything that season 3 did, because that's what season 2 was for season 1. It was just we got to get out of Dodge. I do hope though that in the end of this, that if this is the last that we see of Carol and Daryl, can they at least fucking end up in America? Can we get a reunion with like some other characters from the series? It doesn't even have to be all of them. I'd love to get obviously that Rick and Daryl reunion again. That would be great, since they went to all that trouble of bringing Rick back to his kids. It would be nice if we could wrap up the entire story by bringing Daryl and Carol back, and they see like Rick and Michonne, and they're just like, oh my god, we're all here. Done. The end. Happy ending. Moving on. Close the book, and in 10 years, somebody else will reboot it. Like Harry Potter is now at HBO Max. So yeah, anyway, I'm doing these. I don't grade anymore now that I can review the full season on Rotten Tomatoes. And I don't know, I'm struggling with finding a reason to give this a fresh rating, because it's really hard to follow. It's a zombie show, and that's kind of been like the whole thing about zombie shows. And also, it's honestly my least favorite of the Walking Dead spinoffs that like are still live. Like I like Dead City more, and if I was going to fight for a show to give a fresh rating to, it would be Dead City, not Daryl Dixon. Daryl Dixon just feels like a show that is reactionary to Melissa McBride's whims. Like, oh, she's here. Well, let's get out of France. So it can't commit to a storyline. It introduced a whole bunch of characters in France and then killed them all off, and it couldn't keep a single fucking character from the first 2 seasons. There isn't one character that they retained. Not one. They couldn't even keep the kid. Like, there's no one in this show from the first 2 seasons. It's just Daryl and Carol again. Like, what was the point? It's and you want me to give this show a fresh score? Why would I? I'm watching the show because of The Walking Dead, because I've seen every other show. I did give up on, I'll be honest, the only show that I didn't finish, and it doesn't matter because it's not tied, is that one with the kids. I only saw the first season of that. I didn't come back for the second one. What was that even called? I've seen Tales. I've seen Fear. I've seen the original. I've seen Daryl and Dead City. But that other one, I only saw the first season, and then I didn't come back. The CW meets The Walking Dead. So, yeah, that's it. We're looking at a rotten score, I think. But I don't know. We'll see if we can change this around. But I'm not seeing much this season. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.